I got it is your automatic response, even when you very clearly do not got it, you might be a no help Hallie. And let me just say this with so much love and compassion. Being capable is beautiful, but carrying everything alone is not the flex we were taught it was. Okay. No Help Hallie is the woman who knows how to figure things out. She knows how to make things happen. She knows how to hold it down. She is resourceful. She's responsible, dependable, and she's strong. But somewhere along the way, I can handle it turned into I should have to handle it myself. And that is where things get really heavy because adulting is already a lot, right? Bills, work, appointments, errands, cleaning, planning, emotional labor, life admin, money decisions, family stuff, health stuff, random forms, passwords, and just the never ending question of what we are supposed to eat today, right? That is already a full load, damn near a full time job. But No Help Hallie makes it heavier by acting like all of it has to be carried alone. So today we are talking about No Help Hallie, what she looks like in real life, and why hyper independence can turn into exhaustion, and how to start building the support before you actually hit a wall. Okay. Hey, y'all. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Kiara Ivy, aka Kiara the Concrete Rose, aka your lifestyle design bestie. And around here, we talk about lifestyle design, adulting, like soft life strategy, personal growth, and just building a life that actually feels like yours. This video is part of my Adulting is Ghetto Avatar series based on my book, Adulting is Ghetto, a no BS guide to organizing your life, managing your money, and getting your shit all the way together. Okay. In this series, we are breaking down the patterns that make adulting feel so much harder than it has to be. Not so we can shame ourselves, but so we can name the pattern and finally do something useful with it. So today we are talking about my girl, No Help Hallie. Hallie is the woman who carries everything alone and calls it independence. She says, I got it while actively not having it. She will be exhausted, overwhelmed, irritated, behind, and secretly resentful, and still refuse to ask for help because somewhere in her mind, needing support feels like failure. And listen, I know this one personally because a lot of us were praised for being strong before we were ever supported for being human, right? We learned how to figure it out and just push through, make a way, keep moving, and not need too much from anybody. And for a while, that can feel like power until it starts feeling like isolation, right? And so in my book, Adulting is Ghetto, I describe No Help Hallie as capable, competent, resourceful, reliable. I tell you that she knows how to figure things out, make things happen, hold it down. She's the one that people trust because she usually finds a way to get shit done, right? And that sounds like strength, but not a cute kind of strength, more like a brute force doing the most for no reason kind of strength. That is the heart of No Help Hallie. She is strong, but she is also strained. And those are not the same thing. No Help Hallie is the woman who is always carrying more than people realize. On the outside, she may look like she is handling things, right? She is the dependable one, the capable one, the one people trust, the one who can just figure it out. She's a MacGyver out here in these streets. She knows how to research. She has a plan. She organizes. She can solve. She can fix. She can recover. And she makes something happen even when the situation is looking raggedy as hell. But behind the scenes, Hallie is tired, okay? She is tired of being the one who remembers everything, tired of being the one who solves everything, the one who always has to know what needs to be done next. You know, she's tired of being the one people assume is fine because she keeps functioning. And the wild part is, Hallie often does not even know how to receive help without feeling awkward about it, right? Somebody offers to support her and she immediately says, no, it's okay. I got it. Somebody asks what she needs and her mind goes completely blank. Somebody tries to take something off her plate and she either feels guilty, suspicious, or starts micromanaging the help so much that she might as well have done it herself. That is no help Halle. She does not ask for help easily. She does not delegate naturally. She does not lean on people comfortably, even when, she is drowning. Her first instinct is to still to prove that she can swim, right? And yes, sometimes she can. But just because you can survive something alone does not mean you should have to, right? The tricky thing about No Help Halle is that her independence usually comes from somewhere. Maybe she learned early that people were unreliable. Maybe she asked for help before and she got disappointed or dismissed or embarrassed or left hanging. Maybe she grew up in a family where being strong was praised, but needing support was treated like weakness. Maybe she became the responsible one so young that now responsibility feels like identity. Maybe she got used to just being the person that everybody leaned on, so she never learned how to lean back. And sometimes Halle is not avoiding help because she is prideful. Sometimes she is avoiding the vulnerability that comes with needing people, right? Because needing help means admitting that you cannot do everything. It means giving someone else room to show up or fail to show up. It means releasing control. It means trusting that support will not come with shame or judgment or strings or disappointments. That is not easy for everybody. So Halle tells herself it is easier to do it alone. And sometimes in the short term, it is. It can feel easier to just handle this task yourself instead of explaining it. Easier to carry the emotional load yourself instead of risking being misunderstood, right? Easier to solve the problem yourself instead of waiting on somebody else. Easier to stay in control than to trust someone with part of the weight. But over time, easier gets heavier. And eventually, Halle is not just independent, she is isolated inside her own competence. Doing everything alone costs more than people realize. It costs your energy because carrying every detail, decision, task, reminder, and responsibility by yourself is draining. Even if you are good at it, right? It still takes from you. It costs time because support could make certain things easier, faster, lighter. But Halle keeps choosing the long road because at least the long road feels familiar. It costs softness because when you are always in figure it out mode, it is hard to relax into your life, right? Everything becomes a problem to solve, a task to manage, a risk to control, or a responsibility to carry. It costs relationship too. That one is probably going to sting because when you never let people help you, they never get the opportunity to show up for you, right? You may be quietly resenting people for not supporting you while also never telling them what support would actually look like for you. Listen, some people genuinely are not safe or capable enough to help you. We are not pretending otherwise. Everybody does not deserve access to your vulnerable places. But sometimes Halle is surrounded by people who would help if they knew how. And she is still out here expecting them to read the closed captioning on her exhaustion. They cannot. They have to say something. No help also costs peace because even when Halle looks strong on the outside, there is often a quiet resentment building underneath. Resentment that she has to do so much, resentment that nobody notices, resentment that everybody assumes she's fine, resentment that she's always the one holding the bag, the plan, the backup plan, and the emotional emergency kit. But resentment is information. Sometimes resentment is telling you that you need better boundaries. Sometimes it's telling you that you need better support or that you have made struggle part of your identity. And now your life is asking you to retire from that role. One of the biggest mindset shifts for No Help Halle is understanding that support is not the same as rescue. Halle does not need to become helpless, right? She does not need to sit around waiting for someone to save her. She does not need to stop being capable, intelligent, resourceful, responsible, right? She just needs to stop treating support like a threat to her identity. Support does not mean you are weak. Support means you're human. Asking for help does not erase your independence. It gives your independence somewhere to rest. That's important because a lot of us confuse hyper independence with maturity. We think being grown means needing nothing, asking for nothing, handling everything, and never letting anybody see us sweat. But that is not maturity. That is a strain on your life for no freaking reason. Real maturity is knowing what is yours to carry, what can be shared, what can be delegated, what can be outsourced, what can be released, and what was never your responsibility in the first place. That is grown woman wisdom. Because I can do it and I should do it alone are not the same statement. Halle needs to learn the difference. Right. So now I want to make this practical, like we've been doing with this series. If you are No Help Halle, I don't want you to leave this video trying to become the most vulnerable, open, emotionally available woman in America by tomorrow morning. Okay. That's not realistic, and it's not what I want for you. And your nervous system might file a complaint. Okay. So start small. The first move is to ask for help before you're desperate. That is huge because Halle usually waits until she's already overwhelmed, stressed, resentful, exhausted, or just one inconvenience away from a breakdown before she can even consider letting somebody in. We are not doing that anymore. Cancel that. Return to sender. 86 that. Okay? Ask earlier. Ask when the task is still manageable. Ask when the emotion is still nameable. Okay? The second move is to ask for something specific. Do not say, I need help with my life. All right? That is too big. And most people will not know what to do with that. Say, can you check in on me Friday? Say, can you help me think through this decision? Say, can you sit with me while I make these calls? Say, can you pick up this thing for me? Can you help me break this down into steps? Can I vent for 10 minutes and not be fixed? Specific asks are easier to receive and easier to answer, right? The third move is to let help be imperfect, right? This one may gather Halle all the way together, okay? Because sometimes Halle asks for help, then gets mad because the person does not do it exactly how she would do it. And I understand standards matter, details matter, competence matters, all of that. But if the task is not life or death, maybe let somebody support you without turning it into a performance review. Okay? Let the groceries be bagged weird. Okay? Let the email be worded slightly differently. Let the person help in their style, not yours. If you micromanage every bit of the support, you will keep proving to yourself that it is easier to do everything alone. And that may not be true. It may just be the story control keeps telling you. The real shift for No Help Halle is that she does not have to earn support by falling apart. You do not have to wait until you are drowning before you deserve a hand. You do not have to be in the crisis before you're allowed to need people. You don't have to carry everything alone just because you technically can. This is especially important for strong women, oldest daughters, caregivers, entrepreneurs, high achievers, and everybody who became this responsible one before they even had language for what that meant. At some point, you have to ask yourself, do I actually want a soft life, or do I just want to be admired for surviving a hard one? Whew, because those are very different. A soft life requires support, not just candles, brunch, vacations, and just saying soft life in your captions. Real softness requires a life where you are not always the one carrying the weight. That might mean asking friends for emotional support. It might mean delegating more work. It might mean outsourcing something if you can afford it. right? It might mean using tools or systems or reminders or delivery services or calendars, automations, whatever helps lighten the load. Help does not always have to come from a person, right? Sometimes help is a system. Sometimes it's a technology, a software, a professional. Maybe it's a friend. Maybe it's telling the truth instead of pretending you're fine. The point is that Hallie needs support structures, not just survival skills, because being good at carrying too much is not the same thing as being free. So if you saw yourself in No Help Hallie, please do not beat yourself up. You are not wrong for becoming strong. You probably had reasons, right? You probably learned independence in a season where it was necessary. You probably became capable because life required it from you. Honor that. But also ask yourself whether that same survival strategy is still serving the life you're trying to build now, right? Your assignment this week is simple. Ask for one specific form of help before you hit the wall. Not your whole life, not your deepest trauma, not every burden you have ever carried, just one specific task. Ask somebody to check in or for advice or accountability or emotional support. Okay. And when help shows up, practice receiving it without immediately apologizing, minimizing, or trying to pay it back with interest. Let support be support. If this avatar hit a little too close to home, my book, Adulting Is Ghetto, is available on Amazon, and I'll link it in the description. The book goes deeper into No Help Halle and the other Adulting is Ghetto avatars and the study method for building a life that is more organized and more supported and just less dependent on those last minute miracles. But for now, please tell me in the comments, are you or are you not No Help Halle? And what is one thing that you need help with but have been trying to carry alone? Drop it below. And if this conversation resonated with you, like it, subscribe, and stick around because we are going through all 6 of our Adulting is Ghetto avatars one by one. All right, y'all. Bye.